the challenges that we face in the society, these are all can be achieved only when we have a vibrant, a strong higher education research ecosystem. And this research ecosystem should emphasize on how to bring out a new knowledge. With this new knowledge, how it can be used in order to develop the society, in order to see that any solution that we receive, if any no challenges the nation is facing, just like how we had during 20s and 21, the COVID situation, how research has really helped us, right? Now, this particular research and R&D guidelines that have been framed, these are being framed taking into the mind the Atmanirbhar Bharat, which the Prime Minister, where he has is been promoting this since few years. Now, if we want to be self-reliant India, then we need to see that how we can integrate research, innovation, and technology development. These three are very, very important if we want to make our country as self-reliant India, that is Atmanirbhar Bharat. Now, why did UGC release these guidelines? Now, as I told you, first thing is Atmanirbhar Bharat Abhigyan. These guidelines will help us to promote innovation as well as any technological advancement that we want to do in the country. And also, Atmanirbhar Bharat has set certain targets that we need to achieve. Now, if we want to achieve those targets, that innovation targets, that technology advancement targets, then we need to see that an R&D cell is established as per these guidelines. Now, NEP is also trying to promote more on the multidisciplinary aspect, right? Now, if you want to do research, we should do research not in one discipline. We should do research in multidiscipline area, go for collaboration as much as possible. So, as a part of NEP, yes, where it tries to promote more of quality research. Now, this quality research, which we want within the education institutions which are there in India. Now, these guidelines will help us in order to lay that foundation for this research ecosystem. Because this research ecosystem will serve not only the nation in terms of society, but also the industry side also, where the economic development of a country happens when the industry develops. So it also helps us as a good potential to serve the industrial and society benefits. Now, the purpose of this guidelines, as I was telling, it will help us to create a robust mechanism. Why this robust mechanism? So that we can develop and strengthen the research ecosystem. We all know India is very weak in terms of academic research, where it can implement, where it will be really useful for us in real life, right? Now, if a support is given to the faculty and to the academicians by having a proper guidelines and mechanism, it will really help them to motivate them to do research for the country. Now, there are certain important elements which are very much necessary in order to build this research ecosystem. Now, for that, we need to generate the knowledge. We need to facilitate the research, innovation, and technology for the development of industrial and societal benefits. And then for this, how we should address them. Now, these guidelines will help us how to address them. Now, these guidelines will tell us what is a vision, what is the mission that we should have, what are the objectives that we should have, what are the functions any R&D cell need to have. So, these guidelines will help us to do that. Now, before I go to the vision what R&D cell should have and what are the functions R&D cell that we establish should have, then what is the first impression of researchers? First impression of the researchers is a well qualified person sitting in science lab and doing experiments, right? So we need to have a well defined person sitting in science lab. This is what we visualize generally, right? Or someone, meeting many people doing a survey. Researchers means we imagine this way, and we also imagine that a person conducting so many tests so that he can finalize his hypothesis whether it is working or not. Now, this is what, when we talk about researchers, this is what comes to our mind. Now, their efforts, their hard work is to see that they publish a paper, they publish a PhD thesis. So this publication will help us to push beyond the boundaries of economics or business or mathematics or technology or science and much more. Now, Why this is important? Why this R&D is very important to the country? Now, this helps us to develop new scientific discoveries. It helps us to formulate special economic policies for the country so that the country develops further. It also helps us to see that many of the R&D efforts that are there, it helps us to improve the technology that goes in order to serve the benefit of the private sector or public sector, the industry, right, and the society. So whatever R&D efforts are being put by the people, it sees that they reap the benefits. We all know P.V. Raman is so famous, and then Amartya Sen is also famous. Now they also have explored many things, they researched many things, and they also published their revolutionary findings, and then finally they went on to win the Nobel Prize. So whatever they researched, they made it public so that they know what exactly they have researched on, right? Just like how I was telling of Amartya Sen. Now all know, yes, Bharat Biotech, now India's vaccine, right, was being produced by Bharat Biotech. So how did it happen? Now that is in the world, right? Very few deaths have happened in India when compared to that in the other outside the country, right? Why it has happened that? So it is all because of a research work, and then they were successful in coming out with a vaccine, and it has helped, right? So this is all because of the research bent of mind that our people have. So this new research in medical sciences will help us to come up with a new drug formula. It can help us to cure a very rare genetic disorder. Now, a research on robotics may show us a new process to maximize the efficiency of manufacturing activities, right? So, in that way, robotics can help in order to coming out with certain manufacturing technologies where it helps us to produce any products with a lot of efficiency, right? The research on robotics. Now we are telling that AI is used in every area. Now that is all because of the research, whether it is a recruitment, whether it's a selection, or whether it is related to the manufacturing unit, or whether it is related to giving some answers to the certain routine answers to the people. So we are using AI everywhere. Now, in that way, research is helping us, right? So it is being performed whether it is in areas of management, economics. Now, we do research in order to understand the psychology of a consumer, psychology of a person who buys any product. What is his psychology? When he will buy, why he will buy, what type of products he can buy. So research can help us so that the manufacturers will be, beforehand will know that how, what type of product will be taken, and then how they need to prepare themselves so they can forecast properly the things, and then they can come out with certain things which are necessary as per the need of the consumers. So what I'm trying to tell, my dear participants, right, to put it in a simple word, the scope of research and development is endless and is beyond our imagination. Right? Now, let us take a tour now. Now, let me show in detail about the vision, mission, the objectives, and the functions. 9 important functions that will make it very easy for us to understand how this R&D cells at higher education institution may reap extraordinary results. Right? Now, let us go with what the guidelines are given to us. Let us see the first vision, what it has given. The guideline UGC has given that any R&D cell that is being established in higher education institution can have a vision this way. What is the vision? Prepare a research ecosystem in higher education system, where you can tell that in your college, that is in St. Joseph College, that will align with the provisions of national education policy. Now, all the higher education objectives are now aligned to the NEP 2020. So naturally, even the research ecosystem that we will be having in higher education should be aligned with the provisions of national education policy. Now, our mission is, in order to achieve this vision, which is a long-term one, we need to see that how are we going to promote the collaboration among the HEIs, industry, and other various sectors, and see that how we are going to share the access to the research by arranging the resources and funds. So there are many central government institutes which are funding the researchers. So whether it is a NABARD or whether it is ICSSR, so we have number of research institutes which are helping the researchers in order to come out with the societal related proposals and then see for the societal solution for the societal challenges that we have. So this is a mission that the higher educations can have in order to move forward with the R&D cell. Okay. Now, what are the objectives? The guidelines, UGC guidelines have specified 8 important objectives which the HEIs have to have for their R&D cell. The first objective. Now, it is telling us to create a organization structure. Now, what is that organization structure? I'll be showing to you in detail how the organization structure needs to be created. And this organization structure should be having people, whichever committees are there, whoever are in charges, what roles they have to be played, and what is the function of each of these committees need to be clearly specified. Now, this organization structure, yes, as you can see, right? Now, this should help us in coming out with certain research policies. This organization structure, whatever you formulate, should help us in order to come out what are the areas, thrust areas of research. And then how we can collaborate with the other institutions, with the industry, and then with the other research institutes so that we will be able to do research which is useful for the society. In that way, this organization structure that is framed should be useful. The second one is how to create and enable provisions of research policy. Now, second objective is they have to create certain provisions and research policies where these research policies are going to help us in order to recruit research personnel, in order to procure any equipment or any infrastructure that is needed or any material that is needed, and also help us in order to go for managing of the finances. Now, this particular provision should also give autonomy, yes, to the principal investigators, the persons who are involved in doing any research. We need to give adequate autonomy to the principal investigators so that they help them in order to come out and disseminate whatever research outcome they have for the stakeholders and the public in large. In that way, this research policy should be framed and the organization structure should be useful for the framing of this research policy. That is the second objective, right? Now, the third objective is to establish a special purpose vehicle. Now, what is this vehicle? Now, this vehicle should help the researchers and innovators so that they'll be able to identify those industry people, those research organizations, those academic institutions, and all those people who can collaborate with the education institution. Because always remember, dear participants, when there's a collaboration, there's a synergy effect. And when we have a coordination and cooperation and team effort, the output is more, right? So each one in which area they are good at, in which area they have strengths, they will be collaborating and sharing, right? So in that way, the collaboration will be helpful. So this research and development cell should establish with the purpose in order to promote this thing where they'll be able to identify the collaborators. It's not easy, right? We should explore them and find out who can collaborate with the academic institutions, right? And fourth objective is to act as a license between whom? Between the researchers as well as the funding agencies. Now, these HEIs should be so supportive to the researchers who are there in the HEIs. So, where the accounts department, right, the management, they should help the researchers, facilitate the researchers, and guide them, right? So that the R&D cell will help these researchers in order to prepare a proposal, proper proposal, so that they can get grants from various funding agencies. And also they should oversee the activities that are happening, right? If they have got the fund or proposal from any funding agencies, whether they are utilizing these grants properly, whether they are adhering to the timelines or not. So in that way, this R&D cell should be helping the researchers as well as the HEIs. So this is the fourth one where they'll be acting as a license. Then fifth objective is to have a coordination among the other cells and centers so that Those cells and centers, they have an experience in dealing with the entrepreneurship development. They have an experience in the IPR, which is now even the NAC is also insisting on. Whether the college is creating awareness among the students, among the faculty related to IPR or not, related to entrepreneurship or not, related to startups or not, and then and those centers which are dealing with incubation, and some of the universities are also having in university industry interlinkage center, right? So innovation centers. They should the R&D cell should see that there's a coordination among all these things. The sixth objective is they should have an institutional research information system. So they should develop this. Uh, Remember, whenever we take information center or information system, it means all the information related to the research projects, research programs, policies, resources, expertise, resource people, right? All this information, the database should be there with this particular R&D cell, which is having this research and information system. So whenever any person needs, or whenever any person or any faculty or an academician who are having a relevant knowledge in certain area, if they want to give consultancy to any industry, right, this R&D cell should be providing as a platform where they can guide them how to go about this providing this industry consultants. Right, in that way, this R&D cell should have the database of those in-house experts where anytime any industry needs any consultancy, the in-house experts should be available. And then the seventh objective is they need to build capacity, right? So in order to build the capacity, we need to train the talented young minds. Now, talented young minds, how can they be trained, right? Now, talented young minds can be trained, yes, when we try to engage a super animated active faculty. Suppose the current people, yes, they are not able to deliver, right? So, when they are not able to deliver this, just 1 second.
मॅडम एकच कार्ड लागते मी
Yeah, sorry for the inconvenience. Let me continue. Yeah. So we need to engage and utilize the services of super animated active faculty or the scientists. Now, some people now sometimes in the HEI they may not have the faculty who are doing research, right? Now there are people who are no who retired from the HEIs and they have good knowledge related to the research, right? So we can employ them, we can utilize the services, right? And then so that these people will be training them, right? Motivating them, the young minds which are there, so that they will be able to promote and seek the mobility of researchers across the institutions and R&D labs. These people will guide them. This is super animated active faculty. Now, coming to the eighth objective, now, eighth objective is to serve as a nodal center. The R&D cell should serve as a nodal center for ideation. It means people need to come out with certain ideas. Generally, youth have a lot of creative ideas. Now, we need to capture the creativity. Now, this center should create a platform where they should conduct certain workshops, training programs, or certain themes where people will come out with certain ideas. So, this nodal center for ideation and conceptualization of research topics, it should be in that way as a center. Now, this center should also ensure that there are ethical practices and there's an integrity in whatever research is being carried out, including the clearance of bioethical committee wherever required, right? Because ethics are very important. Even the NAC is also insisting on whether in your curriculum do you have research methodology course or not. In the research methodology, are you also giving them training them or creating awareness or imparting knowledge related to ethics, related to integrity in research activities. So this nodal center should form the platform for these things, right? Now let us see. We have done with the vision, we have done with the mission, we have also done with the eight objectives. Now, With the vision, mission, and objectives, now let us see what can be the functions of HEIs. Now there are nine important functions, right? Now these nine important functions we shall be seeing now one after the other. Right? Let us take the first function, which is the governance. Now always governance should be very effective in any organization, especially when you want to have a research ecosystem. If governance is very effective, then it will be very easy for us to implement many things. Now, when you tell governance, governance is related to formulation of proper policies, rules, norms. Right. Now, as we said, the first objective, if you remember, my dear participants, the organizational structure, we said. Now, how should this organizational structure be? Now, for a research and development cell, see, we need to have a research advisory council, which is being chaired by the vice chairman or principal or a vice chancellor. If we have a university, it is chaired by vice chancellor or his or her nominee. Suppose the vice chancellor is not able to attend or a principal, if is not able to attend, he can nominate a nominee on their behalf for this advisory council. Then under this, you have the Director Research and Development Cell. He is also called as a convener of the total committee. Now, under this R&D cell, under the director of the R&D cell, you have 5 committees. Now, each committee has their own role to play. And then every committee, their roles and responsibilities need to be clearly defined, right? Now, committee one, if you see, this committee is related to finance and infrastructure. And then committee two is related to research program policy development. This is as per the guidelines, which it insists that HEIs have to have these committees under the R&D cell. And committee three, it is telling about collaboration and community. And then committee four, it should focus on the product development and then see that how it can monitor and commercialize. So the whatever the idea is there in the minds of the students or whoever is coming out with a new idea, then we need to develop them, yes, and then commercialize it. So that is what we have a product development monitoring and commercializing committee. And we have the fifth committee, which is IPR, Legal and Ethical Matters. This is the fifth committee where it is going to check whether ethical practices are followed or not. What are the patents, if any product or idea is there, how it can patent that idea, what are the guidelines that are there, and if any legal things are attached to it. So this committee is going to guide them in order to come out with these patents, right? Now, this is how the organizational structure should be there for the R&D set in HEIs. Now, continuation with the governance. Now, along with this governance committees that are there, HEI should be able to foster the human elements to see that faculty, staff, scholars, students, all these people are created awareness, guided properly towards the research. And then this governance also should look into the logistics so that the facilities, the equipment, the material, the buildings, the lands, all are available for them. Then knowledge resources, research equipment, project utilities, consumables, laboratories, especially science laboratories, you need a lot of consumables. So knowledge resources, it should see that these things are available. The fourth thing that it has to process, very, very important, is the funds flow. Now, how the grants can be achieved, how, from where they can get the funds. So, through the governance and financial management, they have to foster this funds flow. This is how the governance need to be there for the R&D of HEIs. Second function, that is administration. Now, whatever governance with rules, regulations, and then they are being formulated, now, how do you administer them? Now, administration is very, very important, not just having the plans and then policies and guidelines and rules. Now, the committee should facilitate how to go about planning these things, how to formulate these rules. What is it if you want to update certain things as per the current norms? How do you formulate the rules and update the regulations? Implementation of these activities in the HTIs, monitoring them, right? And then formulating various policies of using the resources. See, HEIs may be having good infrastructure, good laboratories, good library resources, yes, good facilities, but you need to have a policy framework how they can utilize these things. So administration should be helpful in doing these things. That is the second function, yes, of R&D cell. Now, these committees, which are there to mentor and monitor, they have to see that they devise the technology, how to go about implementing the technology, how to come out with various research models, how to evaluate them, how to review and foresight the certain functions, how to go about mediating certain sectorial R&D progress, be it wellness sector or what is called as the construction sector, it can be. So any beauty sector, it can be, anything it can be. So how are you going to see that this there is a progress in various sectors that are needed, health sector, anything, and how we can have this IPR protection. And R&D are also advised how they can keep in touch, close contact with the Ministry of Innovation Cell. Because when they are in touch with this Ministry of Innovation Cell, they will know what are the various innovative plans that they have come out with and what are the benefits that they can get when they are in close contact with this innovation cell. Right now it is mandatory. IIC as Institution Innovation Cell has become mandatory in any education institution. Right? So you need to be part. Every HEI has to be part of this MOE's innovation cell, and R&D should be in collaboration, in coordination with this innovation cell. They have to coordinate with various activities where it encourages people to come out with certain innovative things, right? Which will help the country and which will help us to solve certain societal challenges. Now, the third function, which the guidelines are giving, it is the research ecosystems and collaboration. A collaboration between whom? Between the colleges, universities, government, research institutes, industry. Now, there should be a collaboration between all these things. Now, R&D cell of HEIs, they should see that how they can develop good connection and collaboration with them. Why we need to collaborate with them? So if we collaborate with them, we can come out with a collaborative research because that is what NEV 2020 is focusing on multidisciplinary. So you need to see that how you can have research in multidisciplinary with that, interdisciplinary or transdisciplinary. Now, generally people get confused with interdisciplinary, multidisciplinary, and transdisciplinary. I've given a visual way. If you see, you will be able to easily understand. Now, when you talk about multidisciplinary, you can see on a particular project which is giving various views about this, whether it is from management, sociology, or psychology. On a particular project, each one will have various perspective on it. Now, interdisciplinary, if you see here also, each discipline is different, which is giving the thought. Interdisciplinary, how you are integrating one discipline with the other discipline. You can have an integration between 2 to 3 disciplines together. That's called interdisciplinary research. And when you talk about a transdisciplinary, if you see each one in transdisciplinary, they have that perspective. They study the different philosophy, different ideologies, right? So they have that is called transdisciplinary, giving on one certain concept. What is the philosophy? From their perspectives, yes, this research need to be done, right? And then the third one is forge strategic partnership. The third one is forging strategic partnership. Now, with the other institutions and then NGOs, then industry players, associations, research organizations, government or bodies. Now, how we can have the partnership with these? Yes, promote resource sharing. The fourth one is we need to see that how we can promote research sharing to strengthen the content, the infrastructure, so that when they share, right, among the universities, funding agencies, corporates, and governments, so that it is easy, right? Because each one will start sharing the resources, the content, and infrastructure, right? Because when they share, no, they get exposed to more, right? Facilitate exchange programs and then exchange between scholars, between students, between the faculty, so that they can form collaborations, then they can form teams, so that when they conduct joint research activities among the clusters and organization, it will help them to have a better view about research, because each one, when they contribute from their side, naturally, their thought process, when they integrate, a synergy effect will be created and have a better understanding about the things. So this ecosystem should be able to facilitate this exchange programs. So that is the third function. Now, what is the fourth function? Research information management system. As I told you, one of the objectives is to create the information management system, right? Now, how do you do it? Now, you need to see that this information system should collect research-oriented information, publications, database about research projects, who will be giving grants, which one will be giving funds, patents, innovations, fellowships, all the information which will help the researchers, which will help the scholars, which will help the faculty to promote further research. That information need to be gathered. So, as per the requirements of regulatory agencies, the researchers need to submit and modify and update all the research compliances. No, because each regulatory agency will be having their requirement, they will be having their format. So they need to see that they collect them as per the requirements of regulatory agencies. And then the next one is, you need to see how you can sign the HEIs. No, they can see that they can sign an MOU with UGC Institute, where not only they get access for the research information, but also they will be able to upload certain research information through Shod Ganga, Shod Shudi, Shod Kshetra, Shod Gangotri, Shod Sindhu. All these are different things which are there under UGC, so that the HEIs it will help the HEIs in order to access that, and also they upload the information. And also the HEIs should have a blog or a website or a portal where the institutional research information is put there, so that everyone will be able to access that information. So the institution should have the repository where it is accessible for everyone about the research, right? So in that way, research information management system need to be maintained. The fifth one, which is grooming human resources. Now, grooming resources, as a with the objective I told you, HEIs can appoint superannuated faculty, and they can hire for a contract basis. Now, even UGC is also telling, and even HA is also coming out with professor of practice. Now, what is that? Similar to that line is what is called as superannuated faculty, where they can hire eminent faculties as professor emeritus or mentors. So we need people who will be guiding us on the research. So we need to have or build a robust, resilient research ecosystem where the HEIs can onboard these eminent researchers. These eminent researchers will mentor the young talents, will mentor not only the scholars, the students who are interested in research, but also the faculty members and academicians who want to take up the research. Right? So in that way, the human resources need to be groomed. Right? Now the sixth function is research promotion and guidance. Now, guidelines suggest that how the HES can organize special research workshops. Now, if you see in NAT criteria 3, you have a question related, a metric related, that how many research methodology programs that you have conducted, how many capacity building programs related to research you have conducted, how many programs related to entrepreneurship startup you have connected, in related to innovations that you have conducted, related to IPR you have conducted. This is a mandatory now. NAC is also asking the HEIs in order to see that they promote and then guide the research, right? Now, these events exhibit a strong potential to motivate the students, the scholars, the faculties, so that when they participate in this ideation and conceptualization of innovative research in emerging areas, so naturally they get motivated when they participate. So in that way, the sixth function of R&D cell is this. Now, in order to make this research ecosystem attractive, now HES should do these things. First thing is, it should identify the trust areas and also form a research cluster. Now, if they have to identify the trust areas, right? Now, it means that it has to do a lot of research in order to identify this. How do they identify? They should be able to have the access for the availability resources, and then in-house faculty should be competent in doing the research, and also a support system should be there so that they'll be able to identify the trust areas. So R&D cell need to establish a center of excellence so that this center of excellence will serve like an incubation center, right? And then this incubation center will help the HEIs in order to transform the ideas into the processes or the products, where it can help the industries also to come out with, can use this in reality, use this process and products. So in that way, their incubation center should be established. Now, suppose if the HEIs are not having that facility, that capacity to come out with a center of excellence where they can serve as an incubation center, they can also collaborate, like, our college has collaborated with the Usmania University's incubation center, right? Now, where if any ideas are there, anything, our students can access their incubation center. So in that way, the HEIs can establish. On the other hand, they can also form a regional research cluster where all the researchers, scholars, students, postdoctorate, all this will come in under one umbrella. So that all these centered as a regional research clusters, they can undertake a high value research projects. They can avail full funding for both national and international, and they can come up with certain joint research initiatives. They can also share the infrastructure. Right? These clusters can share the infrastructure, each one in which area they're good at, they can share the infrastructure. In that way, they can mobilize the resources, and in that way, there can be a cross fertilization of ideas and thoughts. In that way, the research and development centers can form a center of excellence. Second thing is, in order to promote this, they can also think about, in collaboration with the HEI management, the research incentives and recognition they can give to the faculties and scholars. Now, incentivize quality publications. The patents with the students come out, with the patents with the faculty come out. Now, in order to incentivize them, come up with certain policy where the incentives can be given to the faculty and the students so that it helps them to build a career in research. So come out with certain research excellence awards. So institution can come out with these things in order to promote the research. And the third thing is they can facilitate innovation and entrepreneurship by forming a technology development and business center facility. You can have a person who heads this technology development and business center facility, because this hub should help us in industry institute interface. If any patent services are required, they should help us. This center facility should help us for collaboration, for a contract research, for the venture capital, for commercializing whatever the innovations that you have come up with, certain ideas, whatever product that you produce in the laboratory. In order to commercialize this particular technology development and business center facility should help us. Right? So in that way, the promotion can be done. Not only this, the R&D cell can also create a corpus of finance. One thing is, with the existing, the HAIs with their funds, they can create certain policies where the funds can be available to the faculty or the students who are budding faculty who want to start their research career. They can support them with these funds, and also the corpus fund can also be created from the funds of the other granted by the government, industry, and other funding agencies. That corpus fund can also be created in order to help these researchers. Because when you fund the freshly recruited faculty for developing the research orientation in them, they will try to come out with the quality publication, with the patents. Because in that way, if you don't support them, they will not be able to come out with these things. So research and development cell can explore from where they can get these funds. They can also explore not only from the government but also from the venture capitalists, from the angel investors, because they are also willing to commercialize the idea that is there, right, in the minds of the people. Because of the idea generation workshop, they can know that which idea can is patented, and then the patented idea can, they can come up with new products. In that way, you can also raise funds from venture capitalists and angel investors. So all these will help the researchers in order to promote research in them and then encourage them to come out with quality research. The seventh function is integrity and ethics. Very, very important, which the NAC also insist on. What is that you are trying to create in your research ecosystem? How are you imparting this ethics among the scholars, research scholars and faculty? Now, initiatives have to be taken to uphold the research, right? So that they are aware about this ethical codes of conduct. The integrity should be must and it is mandatory and it should be followed by all. So when you publish the papers, not only research or international or global level, certain ethics need to be followed. Certain integrity practices, certain ethical codes need to be followed. Right. Now the second thing is the mandatory plagiarism check. Now in order to inculcate in the students, what we are doing is we are trying to check even the projects also, right? So that those projects which are having high plagiarism content, we are rejecting them. So in that way, you can inculcate that ethics and integrity in the students when they are doing their projects, right? Where they should not copy, and then in that way, have the HES can have their own software, right? Purchase the software where they can check the plagiarism, right, of the projects and the research papers of the faculty where they are publishing it outside, and this should be accessible and available for all researchers. And the third thing is sensitize the research community so that we need to bring to attention to researchers there should not be any dubious research, dubious publishing practices or any predatory journals. We need to the researcher and research should keep on creating awareness among the researchers that these are the journals which are predatory, that they should not publish in this, these are not authenticated. In that way, they should keep on supporting the researchers to get it published in quality journals. So this integrity and ethics to be followed. And also the eighth function, if you see, build capacity in them. How do you build capacity? Only through the workshop, conference, seminars, refresher courses, group discussion. These are all ways and means in order to build the capacity among the researchers. Now, why we have to build the capacity? Because they should be able, that strength should be there, that capacity should be, that competence should be there. When we groom them in the area of this research, how to go about it, they'll be able to undertake any research problem of any diverse discipline. And they'll be able to push their boundaries beyond the current knowledge so that they come out with new innovative knowledge which is not existing. They will be coming out with that theoretical knowledge, that practical knowledge. And then this will help them in order to come up with technological development, that is what which Atmanirbhar Bharat is looking at, right? So that it matches with the needs of the society. Now, when you do this capacity building, it helps the society, the nation, so that the development happens and India can become more and more self-reliant. Now, the ninth one is research monitoring, the last function of the R&D cell. Now, how do you monitor this? Now, institutions should make sure that all the resources that are available are used for the smooth functioning of the R&D activities. But along the side, the arrangement of infrastructure and resources should be there. And then, and HES have to monitor continuously. How? First one is conduct a review and evaluation. To conduct a quality review, do a SWOT analysis, have an internal evaluation of the papers before any researcher publishes the paper or sends the paper outside. You have your own committee people who will be evaluating the research papers before it is sent out. And then let R&D cell suggest certain Scoopers Index, Web of Science, UGC Care, because now these are the journals in which NAC is also expecting to get published. Other than these journals, the NAC is not accepting. If it is a peer-reviewed journal also, it will not accept. It should be a UGC Care journal. It should be Web of Science, Scoopers Index. These are the things that, so R&D cells have to play a prominent role in suggesting these things. That is the first way to monitor. Second is have good laboratory practices. Now, if you want to have good laboratory practices, you need to know the guidelines which are being given by the National Accreditation Board of Laboratories, right? So, which are the part of this Quality Improvement Program Center. Now, what are those guidelines for establishing laboratory? Those practices we have to know. What are the safety measures that we need to have? These practices need to be implemented, and then and HEI's responsibility is to monitor these things. And then This is what the HAIs have to do in order to promote a research ecosystem. They need to have a good R&D cell. Now, in order to sum up these functions, to have a glance of all these 9 R&D cell functions, you can see governance rules, that is rules, norms, and policies, where the governance is focused on administration, research ecosystems and collaborations, research information management system you should have, grooming the human resources with the super animated people whom you can hire them, research promotion and guidance, and then integrity and ethics with the ethical codes have to be, have to be followed by the researchers, capacity building through workshops and then through refresher courses and everything, and research monitoring by the R&D cell of HEIs. Right. So, my dear participants, so this is what is the guidelines which UGC has given. So, adhering to this guidelines, what UGC has given in order to establish this R&D cell, right? We will be able to create a vibrant, a strong research ecosystem in our universities and colleges. And these guidelines, as I've glanced through, as I've taken a tour of the vision, objectives, and function, this serves as a blueprint for you. Now, anytime you can go through the guidelines, because these guidelines will help us how to harness intellectual resources, how to stimulate the innovation, how it will help us to contribute for the advancement of knowledge. These guidelines can help. So I wish, my dear participants, in your respective colleges, share what you have understood from this particular lecture, how you can help the HERs establish a good R&D cell following this guideline, right? So these were the references which I used. Apart from UGC, I also used a LinkedIn where they have reported this new guidelines. And this is what from me today. And then thank you very much for this opportunity at the Academy. So anything anyone wants to ask or share, welcome. Thanks, Mother. Thank you, Bharati. Thank you, Pushpalata. Thank you, Balaji. Thank you, sir. Anurani, sir. Sujata, ma'am. Priya, ma'am. Thank you. Vasant Rao, sir. Thank you. Thank you, Archana, ma'am. Archana, you want to talk something? You want to speak something? You raise your hand, you can speak. Thank you, Dr. Sudhakar.
For your wonderful session.
Thank you, ma'am.
Dear participants, let's take a break.
Ma'am, can I leave, ma'am?
Yes, ma'am. Sure, ma'am. Leave, ma'am. Let's
Thank
take
you.
a break.
Thank you,
Next
Thank you,
session.
Academy, for giving me this opportunity.
Thank you, ma'am. Next session at 3:45. Kindly join 10 minutes earlier. Now you can leave the meet.